You hear the horns. I didn't think we'd go emergency show like 20 minutes after we went live after our show ended for the day on Monday, but why not? Thank you, Greg McElroy. Our friend Greg McElroy, you've heard him on the show, former Alabama quarterback, calls games at ESPN, analyzes college football at ESPN, has his own radio show in Birmingham. Ari, what a can of worms to open on day one of SEC Media Days.
Yeah, well, you said that at the end of the last show that we would be going live more often into the season, and we got, 5 minutes into that? It was almost as fast as the Deloitte experiment lasted. I don't know. This is a rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
That could span a week worth of shows, but I'll let you set it up, Andy.
Yes. So basically, Greg McElroy on his radio show with Cole Kubelik, they had Paul Feinbaum on as a guest. And I'll let Greg ask the question of Paul because you got to hear how he set it up. But the gist of it is Greg has heard from someone that Nick Saban might not be done coaching. Might. Keyword. Here's Greg's question. Or not.
But the question was asked of me. It's kind of a little bit out of left field as well. Very much in the know person that I have a lot of respect for and have spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire. They seem to think Nick Saban's not coaching. I had a similar reaction, but he's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Do you buy that?
No.
That's what I said.
And Greg, you know Nick Saban better than I do, but I ran into somebody the other day who spends time with Saban in Florida, and you can imagine where, and said he is literally having the time of his life.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't he? And I feel like I'm much closer to Nick Saban's age than you are, and I can assure you, when you have everything you want and you start playing golf at the best golf clubs in America and you start making friends who belong to even better golf clubs and you make a lot of money for doing very little work on TV, the interest in doing what he walked away from is not very high. I mean, he had a better situation at Alabama the day he left than he'll have anywhere he goes. Let's say it's next year. Now, I don't know whether it's college or pros. I mean, could he be talked into something in the NFL? I don't know how, because I don't think that itch burns anymore either. But that my opinion is Nick Saban is done in coaching.
This is fascinating because I tend to agree with Paul and Greg when they say they don't think he's coming back. But if somebody's trying to get that out there, and Greg is a very savvy guy. Like, Greg's not going to say that just because any old slappy said something to him. If Greg was willing to say that on the radio, knowing what the response would be, and he's gone on and talked about it on TV since then it's probably someone who has some knowledge. And that's the question, Ari, I ask you, because that's what Paul brought up. Like, would it be the NFL or college football?
My suspicion would be that it would be the NFL because here's what I can't escape from. And there's always disagreements too on he gets to go play the best golf courses in the world and he gets paid a lot of money for going on TV. It's like the fundamental differences that you and I always have when we talk about financial things is that Nick Saban is Nick Saban because he has an unrelenting passion and love for coaching. So playing golf doesn't fill that void. I'm not saying that he wants to, but just assuming because he's enjoying playing golf doesn't mean that he wouldn't want to give back to the passion that he has because he's still a relatively young guy. And there have been older people who have coached who are in far worse shape than he is to go try to tackle that. Now, the one thing that I can't escape in this discussion is legacy. And I don't know if it's because I'm an egomaniac, but Nick Saban, think about how many people in the history of our world are still talked about 200 years down the road from their existence. It's like Nick Saban will be a legend in Tuscaloosa, Alabama in 250 years.
As long as there's college football, Nick Saban will be a legend.
Right. They will talk about him he will transcend multiple lifetimes, I think. And I don't know if there's anything that he could ever do to take away from that, but saying goodbye when he said it after the run that he had cemented his legacy and his position as one of the greatest to ever do it. So from that standpoint, I don't know if there's anything left to prove at the college level. Pros is a place that he went to, and it, wasn't terrible, but wasn't great.
Well,
I could imagine
he said it, and a lot of other people have said it. If Drew Brees passes his physical, does Nick Saban ever coach at Alabama? Because if Drew Brees plays for Nick Saban with the Dolphins, does Nick Saban have a run in the NFL? Maybe not like the one he had at Alabama, but a good run that kept him in the NFL.
Yeah, but like there is a history of attempting something in coaching that he did not ultimately succeed at the highest level at. So if he had, and also too, I think you and I both agree and suspect that the reason why Nick Saban's no longer coaching at Alabama is because he didn't have the desire or the infrastructure at the time at Alabama to keep up with the NIL stuff. Or, some coaches did it their way for so long that he might not have had the appetite to try to adapt. And I'm not saying he wouldn't have been able to conquer it, but maybe he didn't want to.
Well, maybe he didn't want to. I think you're right about that.
So, like, at the NFL, it actually is a job that's not quite as 247 and, recruiting and kids and everybody's an adult. And
there's rules.
And at his age that he can go live within the confines of rules to try to get back into coaching. But Andy, damn it, if it wouldn't be fun to try to come up with some college.
Let's do it. Let us do it.
Yeah.
That was the funniest part is so our friend Cole Kubelik, who's Greg's co-host, was sitting back, and Cole, obviously former Auburn center, he knew exactly where to take this thing because you saw the wheels spinning in his mind as Greg talked. Let's hear the rest of that conversation, and then we'll wildly speculate.
I just want to thank Greg for trumping you and getting more articles out this morning. Day one SEC.
Look, if it wasn't someone notable, I'd never say a word. It wasn't like,
is Nick Saban coming back?
May I ask you, since we just upstaged the commissioner here, can you narrow the field? I mean, is it in this country? Is it in college?
He's going to the Elf League to coach.
He is a firm belief that Nick Saban will coach in college football again.
I would be along the lines with you, Paul, that if it happened, there would be an NFL franchise that could convince him to do it for a boatload of cash.
Well, I'm going to help you here because you start thinking, where would Nick Saban be happy coaching in college football? And I don't think it's that difficult to find a couple of places that he would really enjoy because but if I finish the sentence, this media days will end right here. Because I think I know.
I think we're all ready to go home. If you wanted to shut it down now,
I think I know the school. I've already denied the story, but I think I know the school where he could be going.
Not only have we allowed articles to be written, I think we have the entire podcast to be done today with the information that we've alluded to. Paul, thanks for the time.
So we who write articles and make podcasts, thank you guys for that. They're obviously talking about Auburn, aren't they? Even though Auburn very much has a coach right now.
I was trying to think of who he was. Who was he heavily implying?
Auburn. They were implying Auburn.
Why?
Like Auburn, they're mad at Hugh Freeze for playing too much golf, so they wanted Nick Saban to stop playing golf and come back.
No, I know, but he said Saban would be happy there.
I mean, I think he could win there. I think they'd rally together to give him what he needed to win.
I just don't. I don't buy. I think I would buy like West Virginia or Toledo before I would buy that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Saban goes anywhere where he doesn't think there's enough infrastructure to win. Josh in the chat, how much of these coaches who are too expensive to fire sweating if Saban is in play? That's a great question. Like, if you knew you could get Nick Saban, but you had to pay a $100 million, well, it wouldn't be $100 million, but $70 million buyout, which could be like Lincoln Riley. If Brian Kelly were to underachieve this year, Mark Stoops, it's not nearly that much, but it's all due at once. Would you do it to get Nick Saban?
Yeah, maybe like Nick Saban is just like looking at Tom Brady's career arc and been like, you know what, I want to go win my Tampa Super Bowl somewhere else. Like, I don't know, like, but he already did that with LSU, so I don't know. He just did Tampa first. But
what about LSU again, though? Like, if Brian Kelly goes 8-4,
how a human being, and I'll never know this feeling, to be a great one in an organization that is remembered for 200 years would do anything to like ruin that legacy. I don't understand that. Like, would Alabama fans would rightfully hate him, right? Like, why would you do that?
Of course.
It makes no sense. It doesn't.
Like, here's one. You ready? You ready? Oklahoma.
Again,
if Brent Venables doesn't do well this year,
conference rival. I mean, maybe USC if he wants to go live in the sunshine somewhere, or Florida State, maybe. Like, that doesn't have to like
too expensive to fire buyouts. Both of those places.
No,
yes.
I know, but we're playing a fantasy.
No, but if you can get Nick Saban, you pay it.
Yeah, right. Nobody's too expensive to fire if Nick Saban's on the board, right? So,
right.
I am so obsessed with like the notion of like returning home, or coming back to your roots to put a bow on something. Now, you said he would never go to a place that doesn't have the infrastructure to win a national championship. The question that I have is whether or not that infrastructure is created. Like, could he go to the Big 12 and win a national title? Like, I mean, like, Andy, you said, you know, we're going to talk about this more, I think. But like,
should we call Cody Campbell?
Cody Campbell could afford to hire Saban at Tech.
Now, Joey McGuire would have to not do well this season, but I think we both think he's going to do pretty well. That's true.
Joey McGuire goes 10-2, and Texas Tech could hire Saban.
Texas Tech did this to Matt Wells to hire Joey McGuire. Because didn't Matt Wells Matt Wells was about to go on a winning streak when he got fired, essentially. So they had to make sure they fired him before that happened.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I would fire everybody in a minute. It's not a Joey McGuire conversation. Who would you not fire? Kirby Smart and Ryan Day, maybe?
Maybe.
I'd fire Ryan Day for Nick Saban. Are you kidding me? And Ryan Day is the top 2 coach in America. We're talking about Nick Saban.
This is just amazing about this. Like,
fire Kirby Smart for Saban?
No.
Yeah.
But he's the only one. He's the only one. Everybody else, you're done. But that's the amazing thing about this. That is the power of Nick Saban. And that's honestly why we jumped on here. Because I don't believe that Nick Saban is going to come back to college football until there's like a strict set of rules. Not strict, but a firm set of rules, which is not going to happen before he turns 80 probably. So he's probably not coming back. He's 73 years old. So it's the same age. Now, that is the same age that Pete Carroll is, and Pete Carroll just took a different NFL job after a year off. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility.
Nick Saban's hair dye is really, really good, too, because he looks younger than 73.
He looks great.
I think he looks great. He looks like he's a handsome, like, in-shape man. Like,
here's the other part. He's awesome on game day. He's really good at that. And I realize that probably doesn't mean that much to him because being good at coaching meant so much more. But I would miss him on game day. He's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, but like the ultimate question with this is always, if you're a coach, it doesn't matter how much you accomplish, you can't put out the flame or the desire to want to be a part of a competitive environment. But at the same time, too, I can't really think of any program that makes reasonable sense in college. Like, this sounds like an NFL discussion to me.
Well, all right. So where's he going?
Browns. Unfinished business.
That's right. That's right. He was their DC.
Bill Belichick's in college. He goes to the pros. It's the circle of life, you know?
Listen, I'm not sure that Brian Schottenheimer, even though he just got hired with the Cowboys, that he'd be entirely safe if they have a bad year this year. Can you imagine Jerry and Nick teaming up? Come on.
Okay. Miami Dolphins.
First take would explode.
Miami Dolphins again. Run it back with Tua.
That would be interesting. Because as much as
McDaniel's cool though, everybody likes McDaniel.
As much as everybody likes McDaniel, if they've hit a ceiling with him. They could get Nick Saban, sure.
Yeah.
Producer River says, could he do it at Michigan State? It's funny because obviously if you can have Nick Saban or Jonathan Smith, you're picking Nick Saban. Michigan State doesn't strike me as the kind of school that would just fire somebody 2 years in because they could get Nick Saban.
Michigan State doesn't strike you as a team that would fire somebody because they could get Nick Saban?
No.
Oh, I think that everybody would. I
mean, they did it. They literally did it 30 years ago, but that was
they also think about Michigan State as the bebeneficiary of a bunch of funds that were supposed to be gone after the Mel Tucker saga. They got some coin to spend.
They got some cash. That's true. You're right. They're just gonna spend that money anyway.
I mean, I'm saying it's just kind of the money's out the window, or it was already gone. It was already spent. Like if you find $200 in your pocket that's in the closet after you even worn in the jeans for two months.
It's free money.
You can go buy anything with that money. That money's gone. I don't know if that's the point. But.
As our friend Chris Vanini from The Athletic points out, Jay Batt, the new Michigan State athletic director, where did he work for a lot of years? Alabama.
Michigan State would be electric. Would be absolutely electric.
Put him in the Big Ten. Let's go. Put him back in the Big Ten and let's see what happens.
Andy, if this were ever to happen, again, don't think it will, but if it ever were to happen, I would want to see Saban at a place that has not won a national championship in the last century. I want to see the manifestation of all the debates that we've had of how many, in 2017, before he retired, you would have discussions in the offseason of how many programs could Nick Saban win a national title.
I did it in the mailbag every year.
Yeah.
Every year I answer that question.
At West Virginia, and Rich Rod is the man. I like Rich Rod, but could you imagine him at a Big 12 school like West Virginia, where he grew up, reviving the Mountaineers and then them making the playoff? How cool would that be?
Holy crap!
Oh crap.
Thank you, Greg McElroy.
Wisconsin. Oh crap!
Oh crap! Oh crap! Yeah. Thank you so much, Greg McElroy, because we needed this today. We did. What do I think is going to happen? I think Nick Saban's going to be really good on College Game Day for next few years. Although, and we talked about this with Mike Gundy last week, there is a possibility that he comes back to the sport, not necessarily as a coach, as Will in the chat says, maybe college football commissioner. Yet another thing that you probably need some firm rules and a new setup before he shows up is that. But I think most of the coaches in America would love that.
That would be the position that he is best suited for in the moment, probably. Also, too, I think if you were the thing that I love about Nick Saban more than anything is that regardless of whether you're an SEC fan or an Alabama fan, there is a universal respect for the man, across the board from everybody. And we were talking about it with Mike Gundy, who said that there needed to be a commissioner last week. And Mike Gundy volunteered Saban. I think
first name out of his mouth.
Everybody universally would be on board for that if we got to that point. So anyway, I could talk about this all day. I have a feeling we're going to talk about it more on shows in the future, depending on how the story develops, Andy. But super fascinating and definitely a rabbit hole that was worth,
one more before we go.
Yeah.
Is he going to become the name that comes out in every search now? Is it remember the groomers, Jon Gruden, every time the Tennessee job opened, it would just immediately start a bunch of rumors about.
I mean, Urban Meyer was in that debate there for the free.
Urban Meyer was that. Les Miles was for a while too before he came back at Kansas.
Now the question that you have to answer, because Greg McElroy has a relationship with Nick, having played for him.
Mm-hmm.
The question that I actually am internally thinking is this a ploy or a scheme or a concerted effort to get his name back into those thoughts from internally? Because that's if Nick Saban had any designs of ever coaching again, this would probably be the genesis of it, right? Something like this.
Let's put it this way. If he wanted to put out the bat signal, he could.
He could in 5 seconds.
And everybody would listen. And even this, we're listening. I mean, Greg himself shot it down immediately after saying it. Paul Feinbaum, who knows Nick Saban pretty well, shot it down very quickly. That said, if the bat signal wants to be signaled, everybody in the sport will listen. They will look up in the sky and say, oh boy. So let's put it this way. This could be a fun college football season. Could be a fun coaching carousel season too, because if
and we both agree he could do it. We both agree he could do it.
Of course he could do it.
Yeah.
If he has any interest at all, this becomes off the rails great.
It becomes electric.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.